Hello, Detroit and the world. Welcome to another episode of Authentically Detroit, broadcasting live from the Audio Wave Network studios here on Detroit's Lower East Side, powered by the East Side Community Network. I'm Orlando Bailey.
And I'm Donna Givens.
Thank you so much for rocking with us yet again. We want you to like and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to us on. It could be Apple, it could be Stitcher, it could be SoundCloud, it could be Buzzsprout. We are on all of that stuff. We want you to make sure that you subscribe. And remember, we drop a new episode every other Tuesday like hot cakes. So look for it. It's going to be like church. Every other Tuesday, you know that Authentically Detroit is coming at you. Wow. We had a long 4-day weekend, Donna.
Yeah, we did.
How was your holiday weekend?
It was good. It was real good.
What'd you do?
Well, on the 4th of July, I did not go to the opening of the Artscape on Jefferson, where Molly Wop performed. That was a disappointment.
Shout out to Molly Wop.
I know, right?
They're
What an
so
exciting
good.
new group, and I hope to meet with them soon. Maybe we can interview them one day.
That'll be fun.
Right, because Malik Yakini has done so many interesting things and is a great leader in the community, and pairing up with Feedom Freedom to really talk about really Black liberation and highlight Black liberation is always a good thing on the 4th of July.
Have I told you my Malik Akini story?
No.
So I've met him before years ago, and was enamored by him, of course, and have remained a fan. And the evening of Juneteenth, I met him again, or he met me again, because I knew exactly who he was. And he was like, "Oh, so you're Orlando. It's really nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about you." And I fanned out. I'm like, Malik Akini likes us. He likes ECN. That's cool.
That's great to hear that. Malik, I met him years ago as well. And it was kind of funny because when I met him, we were kind of in this verbal tussle, so I wasn't quite sure if we got along really well. But my brother passed away, and Malik presided over his funeral. They went to Mumford together. And so he helped, lead a Pan-African celebration of my brother's life. And I respected him as a person as well as a community leader when he did that.
He's so good. He's just good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And, we have good people in Detroit. That's the thing about our community is sometimes people don't realize how much brilliance and capacity we have right here in our city.
Where's the bell? I need the bell. Where's that bell, JG? So you didn't have the opportunity to see Molly Watt, but where did you actually have the opportunity
to do? I had back in the day, 4th annual backyard barbecue with my friend Sharon. And so we had fun. We were rained inside. We weren't able to sit outside. We had to cook in. Food was good. Company was good. But we were inside until it was nighttime because we were afraid of the rain after a while. What did you do, Orlando?
Oh, man. Well, let me tell you what I did. I slept. I slept through the 4th of July. I know it's bad, but I spent most of the day sleeping. I didn't know I needed this kind of sleep. My parents were out of town, so I was tasked with making sure that I went to the house to water all of the flowers, especially on the days when it didn't rain. But luckily for me, most of the time it was raining. So I ended up going out there early 4th of July to water the plants. And I came in the house and I just sat down for a minute, and I was done. I was done. They're out of town, so the house was super quiet. And so I just slept. And then on July 5th, I did the exact same thing.
Wow.
I got up on July 5th and went to the grocery store at 9 o'clock. That was the only thing that I did. And Saturday, same kind of thing, and got my hair cut, and then church on Sunday.
It was a weather weekend, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a weekend full of crazy weather.
Crazy weather. On July 4th, my son now lives in L.A.
Yeah.
And all the earthquakes. And so that had me a little uptight.
Yeah.
Although he told me it just felt like turbulence, so he just swayed with it. He wasn't that bothered by it. When he was first going to move to L.A., he was terrified of the possibility of earthquakes. And right. And so, right. Yeah, he almost didn't get on that plane a couple of years ago, the first time he went out there, because my sister scared him. But He's fine. And then, of course, the best thing about rain was what happened in D.C. on the 4th of July.
Yeah, something great happened in D.C.
Right.
that day.
Thunder and lightning.
Rain.
And then
Thank you, Mother Nature.
I learned some new history about, planes during the Revolutionary War. I didn't even know they had airports back then. There's things you learn. The older you get, it's like, wow, we were flying.
Oh man! You want to know one of the things I wish I could have seen? I wish I could have seen the Hamilton Outdoor Rainscape in action throughout the weekend, because we talked about this green infrastructure project that ECN stewarded in partnership with the Chandler Park community and the Chandler Park neighborhood to see stormwater literally being taken from the street and captured.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a camera out there somehow.
We gotta see that.
I need some scientist who's listening to this program and wants to study this to volunteer their
or a university
to volunteer their time, or we can get some funding to get a camera out there to really see it in action.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you where they need a rainscape, although it won't work, is in Jefferson Chalmers.
Yeah.
The water there is ridiculous.
It's still there.
It's still there. I was driving Orlando's car earlier today. We won't talk about that.
I get this Can I talk? I get this notification on my Ford Pass. I have an app for my car, and it says, something's going on with the engine lamp or something like that. I'm like, I don't even have my car. Donna is in my car. Y'all, she broke it.
I broke his car. I was driving an out-of-town guest and showing them Jeff Chalmers. I wanted to take them down to see what is the name of, I'm blanking on names again.
Of a project?
Yes, the treehouse.
The Manistee Street
The Manistee Treehouse.
Yeah.
We went by the
Shout out to
Manistee
Tammy
Treehouse. We talked to Tammy Black. Everything looked beautiful. And I said, maybe the rainwater has receded, but I went all the way up to Scripps and then turned right on Scripps because the water didn't look too bad. I'll tell you when I knew I was in trouble. You want to know when I knew I was in trouble?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
I knew I was in trouble when I saw a trash can submerged 3/4 depth in the water, and I was like, "Uh-oh, we might have a problem here." But he got a free car wash. You're welcome.
I didn't know I got a car wash. Did you?
Well, that washed your car out. It was very cleansing.
I'm like, wait a minute.
But I mean, seriously though, it's a new car and it has this new engine that kind of stops and starts and it manages water and everything like that. And a snitching car snitching on me while I'm trying to drive around.
I'm like, oh gosh.
But think about the people who are trapped inside their homes, trapped in their driveways because their cars can't handle that.
Yeah.
Your car almost couldn't handle that. And we were going to have a really tough conversation. But seriously, think about the cars that can't handle that, or the people who have to walk to the bus stop through that. And you can understand that these climate issues don't just create an annoyance. This is water in people's basement. This is a person unable to make it to a bus stop to get to work, or walking through the water and somehow stepping on something or contracting some type of disease or illness. This is serious stuff.
It's a public health hazard.
And we aren't really talking about it enough. If there was an earthquake, we would be talking about it. I don't even know if it made the news that once again, parts of Detroit are underwater.
Yeah. Yeah. It's become common.
Yeah.
And we become synthesized to it. But we want to continue to raise that every chance that we get, because every time there is a rain event, I always at least get 3 calls from folks who are literally afraid of what's going to happen to their homes, who live in the Jefferson Chalmers neighborhood. So beyond our thoughts and prayers being with y'all, we have to figure out remediative action.
We do. But I mean, people are mad at the mayor when these things happen. And, there's many reasons to get mad at the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
But our water levels are at a record high in the Detroit River and all these canals and lakes all over the Great Lakes. And so blaming the mayor for what is really global climate change is a little bit of a stretch too far.
It's a little misplaced anger.
And, so we really have to figure out, are we serious about combating global climate change? And that's the reason why, as a city, and that's the reason why I'm so proud to lead an organization where our focus is right there, right now. I mean, when I first got there and I heard about green infrastructure, I was like, what? That doesn't even sound interesting.
Right.
That's not what I do. I try to help people. And understanding that you cannot help people without addressing climate issues is a serious issue that's going
It's a deficit.
to really impact how we govern our city, our states, and our nation, and how we interface with the world.
Yeah.
Because it's all one planet. One
planet,
water, one air.
Okay.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to do our part. So that was the other part of the 4th of July weekend, was just looking at the impact, of all
rain.
of this rain on people who are trapped.
Yeah. And I want to shout out Model D. They ran a story today on how some community development organizations are combating and trying to preserve water here in the state of Michigan, particularly Detroit. And ECN was featured. They took a photo of me at the rain garden. It's so cool.
Let's talk about that photo.
Yeah.
So what was the headline?
So, what was the headline? Michigan activists
fight for water or
something like that. Yeah.
And it sounded like some real revolutionary stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there's this picture of Orlando. And I was like, wait a minute, that revolutionary looks just like Orlando. So I had to blow it up. I was like, that is Orlando. Then I read the article and I realized, oh, wow, we were doing some revolutionary things. I didn't even know it was a revolution.
Yeah, they got a nice quote in there about, I want to give kudos to Simone Lightfoot because I utilized some of her message around water and Black liberation, but I also went a step further and talked about the Negro spiritual weight in the water and the significance of that water had on African slaves being able to escape to freedom. And connecting it to Juneteenth. So it's something that we're proud of. We're proud of it.
Real proud of it.
Yeah.
And it was a great article. Then your picture got me to read it.
It's so funny.
And,
I didn't know that they were going to do.
And we need to make sure that we share the messages and continue to share them on this and every platform that we have. That we're not powerless to do this. It's a matter of priorities. We need a seawall built up along our canals to keep water from breaching the seawall. And it's happening all over the Jeff Chalmers neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to reinvest in our infrastructure, in our gray infrastructure, and put up more green infrastructure to keep water out of a combined sewer system.
Mm-hmm.
And figure out how we're going to do all of that and not increase water bills for low-income people who are already paying too much.
Way too much.
And that requires some revolutionary thought. We can't keep on doing the same old things, increasing people's bills to make incremental change, because the environment is not incremental at this point. It's serious.
Right. It's serious. Well, full weekend. So it's time for Fresh Off the Press news that we are thinking about. This is our commentary on news items relevant to the city of Detroit. If you have news items that you want us to cover, you can send them to authenticallydetroit@gmail.com or hit us up on our socials at authenticallydetroit on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Hit us up at Eastside Community Network. So I got the first story. We on the lodge with it. It takes Detroit by storm. Can I just say that that quote, "We on the lodge with it," I believe is such an accurate depiction of a subculture that exists within our community, and I think that's why it is being embraced. I mean, Tommy Walker has created a T-shirt. The Dirt label has created a T-shirt. A rap artist has a whole song.
And this thing is an insult to every respectable Black person my age in the city of Detroit.
Well, I don't subscribe to the politics of respectability.
First of all, it's with it. Secondly, come on, get it right.
Nope. With it. Get rid of that diction. Get rid of the diction.
Secondly, where are these young people? They're out of control. They are losing their minds, and now they are out there acting like hooligans, and they make us look bad. No wonder the police. I'm sorry. Did I go too far?
I'm an honorary hooligan.
You know, but you look at it, and people are really, really, really upset. My age. See, everybody is not embracing it. There's a lot of people who hate that song.
Weren't y'all the ones racing cars behind City Airport and doing all kind of reckless things, taking your kids out to see? Because I sure got to see it when I was growing up.
I don't even think we did anything. You know? we didn't do anything wrong. We were good. We didn't have Aeroflins or gangs in Detroit. We didn't wear hip hugger jeans and tube tops, and you know, we didn't smoke weed. I mean, I didn't smoke weed, but we did not smoke weed. We didn't have parties. We didn't do any of these things. We didn't even have a dance called the Freak. I don't understand where the twerk came from, because there is no precedent for my childhood. Okay. You know, people sit up here talking about wanting to go to a George Clinton concert, talking about that's my dude, and then I don't know what's wrong with young people today.
Uncle Luke was y'all. That was y'all. That wasn't us. Huh? Freak Nick.
Yeah, you know. So I think that the reality is, this is like, sometimes I'm so glad the Boondocks is coming back.
I know. I can't wait to meet Huey and Riley once again.
But you know, because I know a lot of people, I'm trying to figure out, sometimes I label people either your Uncle Ruckus or what's the grandfather's name?
Granddad?
Granddad. You're either Granddad or Ruckus. Or you might even be the attorney.
Oh, Ruckus.
What's his name? The attorney's name?
I can't remember his name.
Whatever. But you know, I start seeing people in this light where we're trying so hard to hold on to respectability, and sometimes we tip over into black self-hate. These are young people who are acting ridiculous, because young people act ridiculous. But there's also this feeling that a lot of young people have about being pushed out of all kinds of spaces. I don't care if they go to Canton. If you're in Canton High School, you're more likely to be suspended from school than a white kid. If you're walking down the street, you're more likely to get stopped by the police. So that feeling of dispossession exists among young people. And to me, We on the Lodge with it is a feeling of empowerment. Now, it's a feeling of false empowerment, and let's face it, it's dangerous. But we have to ask, what are the root causes of the need to be on the Lodge with it, okay? And I think that feeling is, you know, and what she tapped into, that young lady who got that video, who might be running for her life right now because she's getting people arrested.
They looking for you.
And their cars taken. But what she tapped into is a sense of rebellion and rejection of a status quo system that leaves young people feeling like they have no place. Young Black people don't feel as though they have a place, like they belong, like they are wanted or desired. Their very beings, in many instances, are criminalized. And so we look at it and say, oh, my goodness, I can't believe these kids, who raised these kids?
Y'all did.
We did.
And so a critique on this generation is a critique on yourselves. And I really want that message to come across. And one of the things that I am just vehemently opposed to is the criminalization of the young people around simple things like them walking down the streets where they live, or, you know what I mean, or gathering and enjoying the weather and having a good time. I think that the perception that young people are just always up to mischief is false and undeserving of our young people.
There was a headline, was it last week, that California was the first state to make it illegal to discriminate against Black people for wearing
their
natural hair.
It's our hair.
Wearing natural hair, wearing my hair subjects me to some type of discrimination.
I can't get a job.
I can't get a job. And we tell young people, well, you can't look like that, because if you look like that, nobody's going to hire you looking like that. No, I mean, you know, natural hair is kind of taken over, and people are a little bit less conservative in those means. But I think that, you know, people are still talking about young people pulling up their pants. We're still mad about that. The worst offense you can do is not pull up your pants. That never gets said about anything white kids do. No, there's no single white hairstyle
completely co-opted that
gets you kicked out of a restaurant. There's no single white hairstyle that gets you kicked out of school. These things are reserved,
or eliminates you for a job opportunity,
or has you have your locks cut off or your hair cut off before you're allowed to compete in a wrestling match. And
Come on now.
Some of this is just an expression of anger and frustration. And we don't need to go over far. I think we need to remind young people that it's dangerous to drive like
It
that.
is dangerous.
And they're
Come on,
putting
y'all.
their
We know
lives
better.
at risk.
We
And
know
so
better than that.
let's have that
And
kind
their
of
freedom.
conversation and their freedom at risk.
That's right. We know better than that.
And there's some fears that some people have that people will listen to the songs, listen to the music, and try to imitate it somewhere else, and somebody will get hurt in the future because it's being celebrated. And so I think that we have to also hope that this is one of those things that just happened and is not repeated, because we want people to be safe.
I agree. Donna, fresh off the press.
Oh, well, the Alternative Foundation is going to be opening its office in Detroit. It's the first foundation opening in Detroit in some time, the first one that I've heard. And their focus is to reinvest in the McDougal-Hunt neighborhood. So the details of that are being worked out. And in the coming weeks, we're going to have an announcement. But I'm really excited to welcome Rachel Alternative to the city of Detroit.
There's a new
bringing
player
her
in
vision
town.
for equity and sustainability into a neighborhood that is certainly deserving of investment.
Yeah. We got a new player in town.
We do. But hats off to Katrina Watkins and Dwayne Ashford's, our partners in the McDougal-Hunt neighborhood.
I'm glad.
Residents who've been there their entire lives and don't just live there but are doing things. Katrina has...
Yes, honor her. Let's talk about her for a while.
Let's talk about her. This is a woman who has raised a family, has lived there, works in... I believe in a child welfare position. I can't remember what her job is. But in her free time, she is the president of the McDougal-Hunt Neighborhood Association and the founder and executive director of the Bailey Park Project. The Bailey Park Project, through this project, she assembled 22 vacant lots that are adjacent to each other into a new park. She got volunteers to clean those parks and remove debris and to replant the grass. She got volunteers to build a gazebo, put in a sign, and now, most recently, put in a
Kaboom Playscape.
a Kaboom Playscape, a beautiful playscape right in the center of the neighborhood. She breathed life into that park in her volunteer time, and she did it because she loves her community.
That's right.
That's
the
to me,
people.
That's a real Detroiter.
That's the stock that we have here in the city of Detroit, and we don't take. I don't think we give enough time and space to honor people like Katrina. So I'm glad that you told that story, and I'm glad that you told that Katrina is very much leading in this process and is very much at the table with a foundation, a whole foundation that's opening in the city of Detroit that she has access to and has been working with. It's great.
And so, I think what our real responsibility is to build her capacity in running a nonprofit organization.
Absolutely.
Which is a set of skills that I've been blessed to have over the past, 30 plus years. And won't be specific, but 30 plus years. But, it's a set of skills I've been blessed to have and happy to share with people. And certainly the skills that you have in engaging residents and building communication systems and in working together to help create a shared vision. We have a number of partners. Detroit Collaborative Design Center is now standing partner. Insight Design is now standing partner.
That's great.
It looks like we're going to have a local housing developer to be announced soon. So
the county, there's so many people at the table. Yeah,
I mean, the nonprofit community. The one thing I can say is that when you set a visionary table in the city of Detroit, people show up.
That's right.
Because we've had some amazing partners show up and do great things. So I'm really excited about the future for the McDougal-Hunt neighborhood. A neighborhood that is sandwiched between Lafayette Park and the Eastern Market, close to downtown, as well as to the Villages area where the city of Detroit just completed a request for proposals to do some planning there. So I think that it's an area that is primed for growth if we do the right things. And what we've been able to do also is to build partnership between the McDougal-Hunt Neighborhood Association and the Heidelberg Project.
We're so proud of that.
Yeah, we are. It's 30 years in the making, 30 years of infighting, 30 years of mistrust, and we've been able to help bridge that by helping people come to a common understanding that together we are stronger than we are fighting each other.
Absolutely. And shout out to the Heidelberg Project, too.
So, shout out to the Heidelberg Project for being there. Can I tell a story?
Please.
So yesterday, I was driving down Mac. also in your car. And when I was driving down Mac,
I'm keeping my keys from now on.
you might want to. And when I was driving down Mac, near Mount Elliott, there's this house that's closest to Mount Elliott. And I saw clocks drawn on the house, and I saw RIP drawn on the house, and it occurred to me that this is the house of the young woman who was killed by the serial killer that was haunting the east side of Detroit. I had seen a couple weeks ago police officers walking in there, and lots of police officers housed there investigating, it looked like, what was going on in the house. But on this day, I saw that somebody had put graffiti on the house, and it mimicked what Tyree Guyton did in the Heidelberg Project. It didn't quite look as neat and clean around the edges, so I was like, I don't know, that doesn't look like his work.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like somebody imitated his work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was moved because I kind of got what he was coming from. He was sort of putting something on this house. He's putting things on this house to depict the loss and the violence and the devastation. And somebody else understood his art because they replicated it on a house where a woman died. And so you've got vacancy in neighborhoods, and I get really excited about things. We know there's a homeless population that congregates in that area, and we know that the man who killed this woman is a homeless man who was hanging out in that area before he killed her. So it's sobering, and it made the work feel a little bit heavy, and also made me have new respect for the Heidelberg Project.
Yeah. Shout out to them. Fresh off the press, the Supreme Court rules against Secretary of Commerce and Justice Department claims that a citizenship question on the census is needed to better enforce voting rights. Yeah, you heard it right. The Department of Justice and the Secretary of Commerce petitioned the Supreme Court to support a citizenship question going on the United States Census in 2020 to better enforce voting rights. A question like this has not appeared on the census since 1950. So I want to say hats off to the doggone Supreme Court for getting that decision right, although there is recent news that the Department of Justice does plan on pursuing getting that question on the census form anyway. Let me tell you why this is so important. Because, and if you have a community like Detroit, particularly Southwest Detroit, questions around citizenship is going to scare primarily communities of color from participating in the census at all. And let me tell you what happens when you don't participate in the census. The allocation of government resources that are due to communities are stripped from that community. Government representation, voting districts, gerrymandering, all of that stuff becomes fair game when whole communities go without being counted. This, in my view, is a intentional ploy on part of the Trump administration to make sure that communities of colors are discounted, and that they don't receive any resources that should be coming to their communities, and shame on them, as if all of us were born here. None of us are indigenous to this land but the indigenous people. None of us. And so shame on them.
Do you know what year the indigenous people became citizens of the United States?
I don't.
I don't know the exact year, but I know it was in the 1950s that they became citizens of the United States, and that's disgusting. So let me just say that the whole construct of citizenship really has me confused. This concept that because I was born a naturalized citizen in this land, I have the right to equal opportunity, I have the right to freedom, I have the right to eat, I have the right to safety, I have certain inalienable rights. And inalienable rights, kind of suggest to me these are God-given rights.
Right.
So not us, not my ancestors, at least not those that were ancestors by the choice of the women they raped, but my ancestors, somebody's ancestors, came over here and with gunpoint ran people out of their land, and by spilling blood and by using aggression took this land from somebody else, annihilated a population, brought our ancestors over, and didn't make them citizens either. They made them into slaves. They weren't even full people. We didn't even get to be people. We were property. And so the citizenship questions always rankle me, because I can't understand how you can say you believe in God and you also believe that being born in one place makes you better and gives you more rights to being born in another place. Aren't we all God's children? And isn't this God's earth? So when I hear all of this stuff, and when I hear about ICE, the stories about ICE are
even in our city
chilling.
There's ICE stories in our city.
And there were ICE stories before Trump.
Yeah.
ICE has been going into people's homes. You look a certain way, I'm going to chase you into your home.
Churches.
Chase you down and go into a church, arrest you, and make you prove that you're free and you belong here. And there was a time when they were doing that to our ancestors, and they were trying to also escape oppression. And what makes it all worse is that the oppression that people are escaping in Central and South America is oppression that we contributed to through our war on drugs, through our manipulation of their economies and our colonization of their economies for our own material well-being. But we wash our hands and say, you know what? It doesn't matter if you die.
That's right.
There is, in 1954, there's a book that's been written called Bitter Fruits that describes how the CIA took over and created a coup in Guatemala that deprived Guatemalan people of, they had a democratically elected president. And their democratically elected president was toppled by our government, the CIA, to protect the profits of a corporation called United Fruits Company that was in Guatemala, treating people in Guatemala like slaves, taking over most of the arable land and using it for their own, so that the people who were born native to that land lived like peasants. So they voted in a president. They decided they were going to take some of their land back for their people. And our government, the CIA, dropped leaflets, created a fake war, toppled that government, and they've had revolutions ever since. And this is not my imagination. President Clinton apologized to the nation of Guatemala for doing this. But what kind of apology is it when years later,
to this
people
day,
who are Guatemalan get caged, separated from their children,
to this day,
die trying to cross the borders, and people in the United States of America who profited? We want to talk about reparations, but it goes further than slavery. Reparations should be about all of the abuses that were done in the name of the USA. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm here as a citizen. I don't deserve more liberties and more respect than people who are non-citizens. It's how you treat other human beings that's problematic. Yes, America was built on the backs of slaves, but it was built on the land of natives.
That's right.
And we really owe everybody an apology, but instead what we're doing is caging their children. And the self-righteousness of people who claim to be great and wear red hats is disgusting.
It is literally disgusting. But what we want to do is encourage, especially the community that listens to Authentically Detroit, to please make sure that you are counted in the 2020 census next year. So many of the resources that you depend on, government representation, per pupil allocation, and education, all of this is dependent upon you being counted. And so I want you, at least for however long it takes for you to fill out that census form, to push back your systemic mistrust in government for a little bit and let us be counted.
Yes,
Let's be counted.
We do. And we also need to really push our Congress and others to challenge any attempt to put citizenship on the census.
Absolutely.
Because the other reason the census ballot is dangerous is they'll have block level data. And if you say you're a non-citizen, you can be apprehended. So I think that there's a risk factor facing people in this community. The other thing I want to say before we go from the subject is that there's something so diabolical about saying that we want to add citizenship to the to the census to protect voting rights, because
Oh my
that
gosh.
is a direct attempt to pit Black people against Hispanic people. And this is what Donald Trump also does. Donald Trump will say, look, now that we have engaged in these very aggressive and dehumanizing and barbaric practices, Black people are working better. Aren't you happy, Black people? And I really hope all of us will join together and say, no, it does not help me to see you oppress brown people for Black people.
Thank you.
And if you oppress brown people for Black people today, you will join with some of those brown people in oppressing Black people tomorrow.
That's right.
Because oppression is wrong regardless of who the target is.
That's right. Whew. We got a lot there. Listen, if there are any news items that you want us to cover, you can send them to authenticallydetroit@gmail.com or hit us up on our socials, on the social media, and let us know what you're thinking about. And our thematic topic this week, we want to tackle this notion of desegregation in every sense of the word, Donna. We want to, I guess, examine some of the effects of desegregation of schools in the South and even here in Michigan, and look at what I call the perpetuation of caste systems within our own communities and who got to benefit and who didn't.
Right. Well, that's a good question. So before we talk about desegregation, we should spend a moment talking about who benefited from segregation.
Yeah, talk about it.
Right? So the people who benefited from segregation, I'm certain, are white people who were able to hoard resources and to limit our opportunity. So that's, the baseline thing. But then within segregated America, you had the establishment of classes of people or caste of people, some of whom benefited from segregation. We don't talk about that. But, you had a king of a hill. It may have been a small hill, but it was my hill. And you have some people who want to return to a past where they felt like king of the hill, where they felt like they were more empowered and more in charge. I think we have to go back, because I hear some people really waxing nostalgic about days in segregated America where things were good for Black people. And we have to be honest about some things. Things were never good for a lot of Black people. We had a lot of Black people living in pseudo-slavery, in sharecropping farms.
Yes.
Where they didn't have any political power. They could not vote. They could not go into restaurants through the front door. They had to go in through the back door. They could not drink from certain water fountains. They had to ride public buses and sit in the back. So when we are nostalgic about the days we were all together in the back of the bus or in the black water fountain, we really have to ask ourselves, is this really the kind of justice we're going for?
Yeah.
When we look at segregation, I think a lot of times the way it's pivoted is that, well, Black people being next to white people doesn't make us better or happier, and that's true. But when you look at what the real purpose of segregation is, then you have to have a different kind of conversation.
That's right.
It's segregation not of people, but of resources. If I have the resources over here and I can deprive you of access to those resources because of your race, then I'm going to strip you of opportunity, and I can predetermine things that may happen to you in the future.
Like school-to-prison pipeline.
Right, school-to-prison pipeline.
Come on.
And you look at what happened in Detroit public schools where democracy was taken away.
For years,
where you had the exploitation of resources. That would not have happened if Detroit public schools were not also a hyper-segregated school district.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at what happened in Flint, if you look at the fact that at one point 60% of Black people in the state of Michigan were living under some form of emergency management, you have to wonder, are we really that excited about segregation? None of that would be even possible without segregation. You could not pinpoint these negative impacts on Black people unless segregation happened. And so when I look at segregation, I'm a proud Black person. I love being Black, and I grew up in Detroit, and Detroit was a great place. And many of my peers who grew up with me can look back and say, you know what, we weren't integrated, and we did well. I went to Cass Tech. Mm-hmm. But you have to keep in mind, not everybody who lived in Detroit
Got to go to
Cass Tech. And
Talk
if you
about it.
didn't go to Cass Tech, and if you weren't in the honors program in your neighborhood school, the fall off could be pretty steep.
It was, yes.
So, let's talk about segregation of resources. There's a research that was done by a man named Rucker Johnson at UCLA who looked at the long-run impacts of desegregation and school quality on adult attainments. Contrary to what so many people are saying, there were some significant benefits to school desegregation.
Talk about it.
About on average, when Black kids attended integrated schools, they were in schools, those integrated schools, for 5 years. Each year, they were in the schools. Poverty,
The probability.
the probability of poverty decreased by 1.6 and 1.9 percentage points. Overall, in desegregated schools, the desegregated schools yielded an estimated 25% increase in income.
Annual
Okay?
income.
Annual income.
Yeah.
Desegregation also resulted in significant improvements in adult health. The effect of a 5-year exposure to school desegregation is equivalent to being 7 years younger. So let me flip that. That means that Black people who attended desegregated schools for 5 years tended to live 7 years longer. Let's also talk about the fact that there was fewer people going to prison. There was a 14.7% decrease in the probability of spending time in jail by the age of 30.
Yep.
Which is significant. So these are the findings on average. And in some communities, these findings were greater than average. When Kamala Harris says, I would not be a senator today if I did not attend a desegregated school, we should believe her. There are many people who had access to opportunity because they attended schools where, number one, there were resources. Number two, expectations for students were higher. And number three, you had exposure to students who were a little bit more, who had more resources, right? So those students might have tried a little bit harder. It may have been more competitive in this school. And that's not to say that white people make Black people smarter. It is to say that poverty deprives people of reaching their full potential in many instances, and concentrated poverty is even worse. Right now, we live in a world where many Black children are growing up in concentrated poverty, and we are still nostalgic for the days of segregation where I suppose we could live closer to them. But living closer to poor Black people does not reduce the harms of poverty either. We have a higher graduation rate in 2019 than ever in American history.
Nice.
So it's not as though back in the desegregated school days things were better. There was a tipping point. When you look at Black graduation rates and when you look at upward mobility among Black people, it pretty much topped off in the 1970s, and then it started falling down. And those are at the end of the 1970s, like 1978, 1979, that's when you stop seeing increases in Black economic progress and upward mobility, and it started sliding down. And that coincidentally is also the time that Senator Joe Biden, or Vice President Joe Biden, was fighting most vociferously against school desegregation, actually trying to create a constitutional amendment. Now, what he says, and it sounds really good, is that he believes that Black people should be proudly with each other, and he believes in investing more resources in schools where Black people attend and where they live so that they can get what they need where they are. There's another word for that. You know what it is?
What is it?
Separate but equal, right?
Jim Crow.
Jim Crow. That's exactly what Jim Crow was. Instead, what was happening when you desegregated schools and you had white kids going to Black schools that had been historically Black, and Black kids going to schools that had been historically white, the impact was the historically Black schools actually got increased funding. And the schools that had been historically white had the same funding. If you want to increase funding to schools that Black kids attend, increase diversity in those schools, send white kids to those schools, and magically those funds appear. That's historical, okay?
Yes, I was sitting on a panel this morning, and I was saying that sometimes, not sometimes, literally, oftentimes in the history of this country, white presence, the sheer presence of whiteness, increases probability of resources, the increase of resources just by being present.
Because those are the people that our economic system intends to help. And we act like we don't know this, and yet we send our kids to schools in suburban districts. Some of us falsify their addresses so they can go there. That's our own school desegregation process, right? We're trying to still desegregate schools. We move into small houses in rich communities so that we can have access
To
there.
education.
And some of us are going to prison because we are doing things to falsify and fraudulent things to make sure our children have opportunity. So when I hear, once again, people attacking school desegregation, also known as busing,
Yeah.
and saying it failed, it didn't fail. There was a failure in our political will.
Wow. And I had to agree with Kamala Harris on something.
I know, right? That was very stressful. But,
That was stressful.
I'm all about policy, not people. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, I don't love any of them, right? Because I don't know them. I'm not going to fall in love with your personality. I'm not going to fall in love with your history or backstory. What I'm going to fall in love with is, do you have good ideas? Do you have a good policy analysis? And do I believe your policies are going to move us forward? Because that I can measure.
Yeah.
And that I can track and hold you accountable for. So if she continues down this path of, significant policy analysis, then we might have some positive things to say about her in the future.
Her poll points went up, so I really do appreciate her comments and the challenge that she issued to Vice President Biden. I thought it was healthy.
On the other hand, she has, I think she went to the Essence Fest, and she's made some statements that come off as strangely a little colorblind to me, and I have this real issue with colorblindness. Whenever you accuse a white person of racism, they say, well, I wouldn't care if this person was green, but they care if the Little Mermaid is black, and I'm just trying to understand that logic, right? So so color blindness, though, is a little bit dangerous for us, because what it does is it allows people to deny the specific impacts of race on well-being of people. And it's almost a cop-out. So if I don't see your race, I can't see your pain, and I can't be accountable.
That's my pushback against that, though, Donna, is because if you say that you're colorblind, that means you don't see me. And you have to see me. How can you miss me? I am a black man in America. I don't want you not to miss me. I don't want you to be colorblind. I want you to be well aware of the color of who we are, where we come from, and when you get to know me, what we represent, what I represent.
Well, absolutely. And I think that color blindness is a cover for racism. People who claim to be colorblind, but then you have some black people who have chosen themselves to pretend as though they don't see race, as if somehow if I stop acknowledging race, I will no longer be subject to racism.
Oh, stop
and if
it.
I stopped recognizing race, I will no longer contribute to the harm of other black people.
Stop it.
And so I kind of heard, when Kamala Harris was at the Essence Fest, and they said, she says, well, people ask me, what are you going to do for black people? Or what are you going to do about race problems in America? And she says, I'm glad you mentioned housing. I'm glad you mentioned, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she starts mentioning these mainstream topics. And in my position, those mainstream topics do not address the specific historical harms done to black people and the specific current harms done to black people that have to be addressed with intentionality and purpose. So that brings us to a whole nother interesting segment of our show, because we have a guest today.
We have a special guest in the building, and it's so timely. Miss Myrtle Thompson, Feedom, Freedom Growers, and so many other organizations and things that she's involved in, is here in the studio with us. And we saved a special fresh off the press story for this conversation. Donna, you want to take this?
Well, yeah, so we're going to talk about the fact that the AfroFuture Fest changed the ticket structure after some controversy. And there were many people who were talking about this interesting new concept called reverse Jim Crow.
Huh?
Yes. Apparently, some people are planning to charge $10 more for ticket prices for people who are non-people of color, and $10 less for people who were people of color. And that seemed like reverse Jim Crow to some black people. And I was like,
folks.
well,
Black
yeah,
and white folks
you're
on the
right.
news
But it was
mad
a
about
black
it.
person who proudly coined the term reverse Jim Crow and was claiming it on Twitter. And I'm like, were they lynching people? I don't know what happened here. Were they burning down their homes and stopping them from voting and stopping them from using integrated bathrooms? I want to know just how dangerous this AfroFuture Fest was. And because of that, we have a guest who's going to explain to me the oppression that was being visited upon white people during this event. So
that's not why I'm here.
I know it's not. I know it's not. I'm just, tongue in cheek. But we do want to hear what is happening.
Yeah, we want to hear from you, Miss
And
Myrtle.
we do also, if you can shed any light, because we understand that there were some specific good intentions for the Afrofuture Fest in terms of the ticket pricing, to help people who were white people understand what it is like to experience the world as oppressed people, or not as oppressed people, but experience a double standard. If that's what it is. That's
and we really want to give you platform, Ms. Myrtle,
Right.
to that other media outlets have not done so in a fair and just way. To hear your voice and to just hear your perspective on the entire situation. I know that you are but one player in this big grand scheme of things, but you are a longstanding community partner of ours, and we wanted to provide you the opportunity to speak.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I have to speak on behalf of the host organization, Feedom Freedom Growers. I was not one of the planning committee for the Detroit Afrofuture Fest, a music fest. We've hosted these youth and the directors for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I went to college with one of them.
So I was unaware of how the tickets were structured. I do know that it was a fundraising event, and I got a call informing me that there was some controversy over the way the ticket prices were structured, and I honestly think it was more over the wording of the ticket. The way it was written up and the way folks just took away what they wanted to take away. Some folks' feelings were hurt. And so when the rapper person pulled out and took it straight to Twitter instead of having any discourse with the organizers, that created the controversy. So therefore, as I was giving notification that Metro Times picked it up and some other news organizations, so-called news organizations, picked it up, I was pulled into Mama Myrtle, this is what's happening. Some folks are upset, their feelings must be hurt, and they don't understand that systemic institutional racism that resides and presides over, especially this mostly black city of Detroit. And so I did receive a harassing phone call. I've been called a racist. I've been getting a lot of folks coming past my house, wanting to know why would I support this racist event. And even the local news that came out slanted the story in a way that perpetrated this hatred. And so where I came expressly today to free myself of these thoughts and feelings that these young people are doing an awesome work, a brave work. They are standing up for youth in Detroit who are marginalized in so many ways, who don't even understand the racism that is going to attack them further along in their life. And so for me, for folks to get on social media or make comments without any discourse, without any listening or any understanding is so very damaging. And our news media is feeding that fire, that frenzy. And so I was asked to do a local news interview, and I refused because I said I already feel like I'm in harm's way because of what's already been out there, because people are filled with hate. In the event page, with the ticket sales, and the way it was written up, there was nothing abusive. There was no abusive language.
Right.
It was a fact statement. This is what we're doing. If you want to attend, this is what you pay. It was about creating equity, because I understand the amount of inequality that I face as a black woman in America every day.
Every day.
And so creating that line of equity where we all get to that same point, but we start where we need to start. So...
Oh, that's good, Miss Myrtle. Yes.
It's just... It was very hurtful to be faced with so much animosity from folks who have no listening skills or no understanding, who choose to hold on to black and white folks. And I attribute the reasoning for what I heard on the news last night is the lead on question from the news anchor person. She started off by asking, how do you feel about the unfair ticketing prices?
Right.
And this person had never even heard of the Detroit
That's not
Afro.
an objective question.
Not at all. And I interjected, and they had to.
Yeah, they edit that out because I didn't even see you. Yeah, I saw that whole story. I didn't. Even see
interjected on both times that they were talking to the neighbors because it was unfair. These folks were walking their dog.
They were talking to your neighbors.
They were walking their dog. These are not. They don't live.
No, I mean the news media were talking to people.
They talked to one person, and he was very informed, and he said, I cannot comment because I don't know the organizers, and I don't really understand what it is you're talking about.
And, you know, for the news media to show up and not talk about the beautiful new installation that you have there. I was talking about this earlier today. On the 4th of July, I had every intention of showing up for Molly Wop, and I got lazy and missed it.
It was beautiful.
But I know it was. And what you're doing in the neighborhood is a beautiful thing.
Well, I gave an example. The day after the 4th, the concert, the canal, Fox Creek Canal, what the structure is named after, broke free.
Right.
And there's water everywhere, massive amounts of water, and it's actually on city land. We've been calling the city. I've been calling the city. And I said, well, here's your story right here. I said, this right here is the inequality I'm talking about.
We literally just talked about how no one picked up the crisis that's happening in Jefferson Chalmers in terms of the flooding and the sewer backups.
I was driving Orlando's car
Yeah,
through
she
Jefferson
almost
Chalmers
broke
and
my
killed
car.
his car because some of the streets are so flooded. You can't drive a car through there.
I've complained that it's become a traffic hazard. Our children are out here. It's a hazard on many levels. The mosquitoes are nesting in the standing water. And as water will flow, it has created its own pathways now. And one of the basins is clogged that needs to be unclogged that would catch some of the water. But I also compared it to, if you go downtown, there's every amenity that you could want.
Right.
But in the neighborhoods right where we are, in this majority black city, this is what we deal with.
Right.
You don't even take a second look at it. And they looked at me as like, yeah, well, maybe that's a story within a story, but we want to talk about ticket prices.
But you know what? It's so interesting, and that's the reason I bring up color blindness. Because there's this pretense that there's color blindness, but if you want to see where the city is investing its money, follow white people. And so if I'm living in the city of Detroit, and I do live in the city of Detroit, and I'm paying taxes in one part of the city of Detroit, and I'm paying my city income taxes. I'm a renter, not a homeowner, but I'm paying my city income taxes. Do I get the same services as a person who lives downtown? Am I subsidizing their well-being? If I call the police, will they come as quickly in my neighborhood as they will downtown? You trip over yourself downtown, sometimes outside of concerts. And people say, well, but that's paid for by the Downtown Development Authority. They're paying extra for that security. Who is subsidizing the Downtown Development Authority?
Exactly.
They have a tax capture that all of their taxes get reserved only for them. Exactly. And so when you look at that, why aren't we as angry about the tax capture as we are about a $10 voluntary event? If you don't like it, don't come.
Miss Myrtle, the other thing that
I
is
agree.
coming up for me is your disappointment and a lack of facilitated discourse. And so instead of jumping to cancellation, and I do believe that we are living in a dangerous cancel culture in America and specifically within our community, but jumping to vehemently oppose something that there was no conversation or engagement about.
Exactly. That is very disturbing. None of the harmful messaging, none of that rhetoric is even questioned. Um, Even though it appears that she changed it, and this was some of the language from the media, is that she changed the pricing because of what did they say it was, pushback or
Controversy. Hmm.
and it was actually, no, my elders are being threatened and I care for them, I love them, and I don't want anything to happen to them.
Wow.
That was not portrayed
Now,
in that way.
the young lady who went to the Metro Times, my daughters are on this, so they are, really upset about what's happening. And one of them retweeted one of the young lady went to the newspaper. She's trying to raise money for herself now. She's saying, hey, give money if you want to help Detroit's youth. She is literally co-opting the AfroFuture Fest in pretense that this is something that she cares about. So, where's her character? And I'm,
Question.
in question because, and it's always interesting to me that the issue is about your grandmother.
Yeah.
And you wanting to protect your grandmother's well-being. That's just interesting to me because as social activists, it should not be about us at all. It should be about social conditions that extend beyond us.
The greater.
And what role is our grandmother playing in those social conditions? What role has our grandmother played? So if, this is my grandmother and she wants to come out and she is conscious of the things that I, as an African-American person, my grandmother's not white, but if she's conscious of that, then she should be wanting to help out. And what kind of conversations am I having with my very own grandmother about what's going on inside of our community? It's not as though racism is hidden.
It's not.
Certainly not in this era, but it hasn't been hidden for some time. It's never been hidden. Their issues have always been very real. And there are neighborhood heroes like you who have been holding it down. How long have you been out there doing
holding
this?
it down, Miss Myrtle.
We're celebrating Feedom and celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. And so we look forward to hosting the AfroFuture Fest, Music Fest, on August 3rd.
And we will be supporting you.
Come on, say it again. On August
the
3rd. Yes.
There will be the Detroit AfroFuture Fest. The young people should come out at 2:00 and enjoy themselves. It will be a healing space.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to be music, the things that move us, the things that stir us, the things that heal us. There will be Reiki. I know there'll be music, and we usually pour libations. And as the host organization, I make sure that everyone is having a great time. Everyone is safe. Things are flowing. The traffic is moving the way it's supposed to because we don't block the street. We slow the traffic all the way down.
I love it, Miss Myrtle.
We control the parking, and we don't invite police. Right. We have a safety team.
Right.
And
I love it.
That is an extra set of eyes to observe and to create pods if somebody seems to be dealing with any issues. So we don't expect anything to hamper that. If it rains, it rains. That's just more for us to celebrate.
What some people intend for evil will turn out for good. There are a lot of young people who are going to come out and support you, who know about this and believe in what you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about Feedom Freedom for those who don't know about your great work?
Okay, I can say today I'm exhausted. At the end of the day, we started our youth mentoring enrichment program this day, where we invite young people from our community and our neighborhood to take 5 weeks of their summer to work with us to learn gardening, community outreach, leadership, and just a healthy approach to critical analysis. So we need critical thinkers, and so we have fun as we learn. We also are in we just got off of the JB 100 celebration as a member of the Bog Center. That was awesome. That was learning about who James Boggs was in the city of Detroit, black radical activist. He was an auto worker. And so we have cooking workshops, we have early garden learn and play. We're also creating a cultural hub at 291 Manistee. So that will be our indoor vision or version of what the garden site is.
Wow.
So instead of having to do everything outside only in those warm summer months.
So we can have all season
we
activity.
will have all season.
So you're going to be tired all year, not just in the summer.
But the reward for good work is more work. So we look
Yes.
forward to it.
I love that.
So if somebody wanted to contribute to or support your work, how would they do that?
They could do that through going to our Facebook page, Feedom Freedom. And I really don't like even saying go to our Facebook page. Come and see us on Manistee.
That's where you get
We're
the magic.
at
You get the
Manistee.
magic. Yes.
And we
You
are
feel it.
501c3, so we do accept donations. So I want to say visit our Facebook page, but come and see us at 866 Manistee.
Miss Myrtle, we're about 5 minutes over our usual hour, but I want to allow you just space. If there is a message that you want to leave our listeners with in regards to all of this, what would that message be?
Wow. Today I've been really thinking about listening and listening actively, listening with your heart, listening with your ears, listening with your eyes, and to leave this world in a better place. I mean, how do we grow our humanity if we don't come face to face more often and just have these conversations and see our connectedness, and please see color, see me.
See me.
See
I'm
me.
not invisible. That's right.
See me.
See you.
Woo, that's good.
And, not just also, because I think, sometimes when people say they don't see you, they don't see color, they act like they're doing you a favor.
Not doing me a favor.
I'm proud of my blackness. How about you?
I am very proud of my blackness. I play that for the young people. James Brown, I'm black and I'm proud.
That's
Say
right.
hello.
Yeah, right.
And so I introduce myself that way because it's very evident in spaces that I travel. My blackness is very evident.
Right. And so it's something that, I had a woman who told me that she didn't see blackness. She worked for me. I don't see blackness. And I said, well, I don't see you're Irish. So please quit wearing your leprechauns, right? You want me to see you as you are. I'm as proud of being black as you are of being Irish.
And my full humanity.
And my full humanity. You can, don't just look at me. It's because I don't see myself as less because of that. I see myself as full because of that.
It's a deficit approach.
And people like you are the reason why. Detroit is a beautiful place, and Detroit has beautiful people.
It does.
And you make us proud, and so we want to thank you.
We thank you, and we
I
love you, Miss
am not
Myrtle.
going to miss another one of your big events. I was so
Thank you.
upset.
Thank you for having me.
What a wonderful end to a wonderful episode of Authentically Detroit. We are authentically black. We are authentically Detroit. Thank you, listeners, once again for rocking with us yet again. We want to encourage you to like and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you listen to us on. And remember, we drop a EP every other Tuesday like hotcakes. And as you can see, we bring the topics that are relevant to you, Detroiters. So catch us next time. We thank you, Detroit and the world. We'll see you next time.
Wow. That was